Hello and welcome, my fellow minions, to another scene set in Odessa, the Dark Crusade. On this moonlit night, Madeleine finds herself on her way to meet with a new friend, a new sister, who has informed her of many more like her within the city, and a particular individual with a vested interest in someone like her. And that they would like to discuss ideas and methods and their end goals in the city, and how they might bond over such things. Madeleine, you were messaged by Anne only a few hours ago to meet her within the... let me just get up the map for one moment. I am bad. I am sorry. There we go. Within Riverside. There is a tavern there, which would serve as a useful meeting point for the two of you. And that's where she's asked to meet you before you go any further. Don't want to be followed after all.
Madeline will be there, and tonight her two ghouls are not accompanying. She is going by herself, despite recent events.
Oh, you're not paranoid, are you? I'm sure there's nothing following you.
Nice one. Madeline has gotten a few thoughts that the city seems, well, perhaps as dangerous as before, but, well, a bit more people now just, well, recognize her. And that's not necessarily good. But who knows?
Yeah, it's not too much trouble for you to make your way through Riverside. It is one of the more rundown areas in town. In fact, it's pretty notorious for its crime. But no one bothers you, even though many rightfully should. However, you manage to get by just fine, and you make it to this small, out-of-the-way tavern. It's not shady per se. In fact, it almost looks as if it was built as some sort of safe refuge from the endless fucking chaos and corruption in this part of the city. It's almost like it's huddled away, kind of cowering in the corner. It's small, but well looked after. Humble but familial. Doesn't take you long to find out who you're looking for. She stands right out.
Madeline will just walk over to her and she won't do much. But she will just bow, maybe, and just a short bow, and just say, "Good evening, sister."
Good evening, my sister. How does the night suit you?
Quite well. Better now that I am here. Shall we go?
Yes. One moment. She will narrow her eyes, kind of surveying the area. Hmm. She leans in. She like tips her head to the side for a moment. Kind of looks like she's listening to something, and then she seems satisfied or contented. Yes, I believe we are all in accord.
That is good. It has been some time since we last spoke, but it would be good to have an evening to relax a bit.
Yes, I would like that. Where we are going, I suppose, depending on your sensibilities, could be very relaxing or very much otherwise.
Well, the likes of us is, well, we probably have a bit of a different way of relaxing than most people, but, well, they do not know what they are missing.
Indeed. If only they knew. If only
Maybe
they
they will
wanted
in
to.
time.
Hmm. Oh, one can only dream. But I would not like to delay you from It's perhaps been a secret unwisely kept from you for such a long time now. Would you like to follow me?
Of course.
She,
Um, just Madeline's, actually, Madeline's paranoia is just going to take her for a moment. Given the fact she's just recently been invited into another house, followed someone into a house, even though the person inviting her wasn't the perpetrator, but she was still, mm, yeah, she doesn't see anything. Well, I have one success on like a perception empathy on her just to see like if she's
oh, she
like
seems almost innocently excited.
okay, just it. She does trust her, but Madeline is recently she's been a little.
Hey, she could be excited, but that doesn't mean she doesn't intend you harm.
Yeah, but like yeah, it's just needed to be done. But Madeline will follow her.
You are led out of the city. You make your way to the city gates. As she walks, she will ask as you approach the city gates, "Oh, are you excited?"
Quite so, and she might be able to tell. Well, the she might be able to tell that yeah, this like Madeline is as they're leaving, getting away from others, she just relaxes a bit more. But as they're leaving the city, Madeline also actually Madeline begins to get rather excited. Um, it might she might be able to catch that, and yeah, but she just was just quite so. I must say this. There's only one quite a fairly short time where I was able to talk with members of our ways of looking at things. But we have to meet more, and this pleases me greatly. I am really, truly happy that you came forward to me. Although I must ask, how long have you either suspected or known that I was a, well, similar persuasion to you? Since you did say that you had, well, regretted holding it from me so long? Did you crash? There we go.
I'm back.
What Madeline said was essentially um, that she is genuinely excited, and it's she hasn't spent a lot of time with people of her persuasion, but she's truly happy, and she has asked like why, how long did she had she known that they were probably of the same road, since she said earlier that something to the effect of it was probably a mistake to keep it from you.
Yeah, she says like a secret that was perhaps
The internet is against you.
yes. Oh, um, yeah, she says like a secret that was perhaps unwisely kept from you.
Mhm. And Madeline was just like, "How long did you know?"
If only this will be the third time I've been able to come here. It is a closely kept secret for some.
Hmm.
I'm very, very fortunate.
And
Um,
now I am as well.
hmm.
Madeline will take her hand and just so. Please, if there are any rules here that I am not aware of, please let me know. I do not wish to make a bad impression.
Well, it is. I suppose the I suppose the rule of domain applies to this person's keeper, to this place's keeper, but such rules are meaningless to us here.
Very well.
I believe all that would be asked for you is to treat this sacred place and your fellow sisters with respect and care.
Oh, I will.
And you are taken outside of the city, and you go through the eastern side. It's perhaps the one part. This place is still Prince domain, but it's not actually claimed by anyone outside the city. It's not. It's not claimed by a clan.
Hmm. You will just say, is there someone else who claims this place? Or is it within anyone's domain?
No, not officially, but it is ours.
Hmm. Very well.
We have no need to follow the laws of Cain.
I mostly tend to, well, there are those laws who are quite pointless and quite idiotic, which I, merely out of curiosity, very out of a sense of politeness, follow. Those who are built on wisdom, I will uphold.
Hmm. Good. You begin to. She still engages in small talk with you as you begin to edge closer into the more foresty parts of this side of the city. There's a forest on both sides. The wild area, which is the main forest, and the one that kind of runs along the south end to the southeast. You go out quite a distance, straight walking. You walk for at least 2 hours. So you're about 10 to 20 miles out at this point, at least. Maybe a little bit more. You're not sure. Your feet feel a little bit sore just through the sheer walking. Your sandals are uncomfortable. There's dust and dirt everywhere, and the road isn't cobbled properly, and then you have to go off the road into the grass, and some of the insects sting you.
This is all the more anticipation, suffering or uncomfortable journey to a glorious purpose.
Hmm.
Couldn't ask for anything better.
The wind suddenly begins to pick up, and it's actually rather sharp and cold. It's rather biting. The foliage grows more thorny as you begin to approach the foresty area. But it appears to be a regular forest by itself.
Should we be worried that some of well, the people that lives outside of the city in such places would interfere?
That's all you get.
Madeline just shoots her a look like, and just smiles actually, and just looks at her and just, are you saying that some of them are to partake?
Oh no, tragically not.
Hmm.
We rarely get the opportunity to make the attempt, to be fair. Many of them are so hateful of us that they won't listen to what we have to say. It's very, well, I suppose, an interesting reflection on the society within the walls. But
And
that's
I
neither
will
here nor there.
roll something. Damn it.
Oh, what's wrong?
Well, actually, I don't. That's not something I should roll for, honestly. Uh,
What you rolling?
the thing is, Madeline is thinking of her time with the Black Spiral Dancers,
Mm-hmm.
but she knows it's really sensitive information and something you really shouldn't talk about. So she is just going to let it pass. She's not going to comment on that, but I am going to roll a manipulation subterfuge to not look somewhat suspicious. Wow, okay, there we go. 4 successes.
Oh. How many successes you get again?
4.
Okay. It's worth a shot then. Should have a lower death. She still doesn't succeed. Nope. You're fine. She doesn't recognize any, like, you 4 successes, you're pretty calm. You know, you're not giving away anything that, you know, you've been told to withhold this information even from your sister. It does pain you somewhat to hold that information from a fellow Bahari, but you'll live, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
You begin to approach the forest now. There is a certain aura to it. You're not quite sure what it is. In fact, for a moment, you almost feel the need to look over it, like you're just kind of willfully ignoring it.
Hmm.
You kind of feel yourself almost not stepping away, but stepping to the left, and you almost change direction intuitively. You don't really recognize this until you see, like, the feeling that it's almost opening up to you. You kind of do a quick double take. It's not really a physical manifestation, but something else. But you can almost feel as if you've been granted entry or sight or knowledge of something.
Madeline will take a moment to just observe this, just take it all in, take the sensation in. And just have a look around. Is there anyone present other than, or is it like being like coming into a place that is protected?
Yeah, it's kind of like you feel eyes on you. You feel yeah, this sense of sort of pressure on your body, like you're being watched, but you've been granted entry into this place. You're not being repulsed. At the same time, the sort of pressure almost gives you the impression that you could be.
Hmm. Madeline will do her very, very best to just remain as open, calm, and just relaxed as possible.
As you go deeper into the forest, it still looks fairly normal, but you notice the the flora here is less than friendly. But you don't seem, and you know, it's not just stinging nettles or thorns or any such thing. There's more dangerous flora here. None of which that necessarily has an impact on you.
It's just like thorns, and it seems just more hefty.
Mm.
She
You
wouldn't.
notice at one point Anne begins to take her sandals off and begins to walk barefoot along the forest floor, which appears quite painful as you notice that the foliage begins to grow thicker.
All right. Madeline will, if I roll willpower to not like to just suck it up, will that be current or maximum willpower?
What do you mean to not suck it up?
To suck it up, I mean, meaning as to not see as though I'm shunning it, or like to just show that I'm either just taking it in or actively embracing it.
Mm,
If that takes a willpower roll, of course. If it doesn't, I'm
yeah,
fine.
roll willpower to not like take obscene enjoyment in this pain.
Enjoyment.
Enjoyment. Mm-hmm. You heard me.
God damn it. Well, I think I succeed fairly.
You do succeed. You're able to. There's nothing wrong with necessarily taking pleasure in pain as long as it does not become the only focus. As a veteran of your road, you realize. Of
But
course,
it
you've
is a
always been
very
inclined
important,
towards enjoying pain.
but it is a very important thing to keep in mind.
Oh yes, yes, but you stick to your tenets fairly well, and as a being as old as you, this is no real troublesome task. This is fairly par for the course in a way. You acquire your fair share of cuts and bruises, and your dress is at the bottom. The long skirt, the long gown is cut up a little bit. It has its fair share of holes now. Much like ants eventually begin to come into a clearing which only really makes itself known to you as you enter it. You do not see this as you walk into it. In fact, it looks completely normal, like you're just walking forward into the forest, but um, as you kind of clear away some of the foliage, it becomes clearer to you what you're witnessing. a garden of sorts that seems to gleam in the moonlight, almost unnaturally so. The flora here is almost completely alien to you. There are species of plant life here you have not seen before, if anyone has seen before. They almost seem alive in a sense. They seem to react more more trying to find what in a more lively fashion to the environment around it. They don't just they follow the moonlight and seem to follow you in a sense. The more dangerous, painful foliage begins to clear away from you in your presence. But it's subtle. It's kind of, you don't really notice it. It just kind of recedes kind of a little bit into the ground. The vines just move back a little bit. As you put your hand against a tree, the roots of the ivy just shift ever so slightly. It's very minute movement. You see people here. Many bear the mark of Lilith on their backs. Others don't. Some on their shoulders, on their arms, on their wrists, their forehand, their legs.
Is it like a burn mark or a tattoo or?
Both. Appear to be different sorts, different varieties. Some people are engaging in free love in a lake. There also appear to be some gardeners tending to the fauna and flora. Other people simply appear to be talking, while others seem to be inflicting some degree of physical pain upon each other. But it is very measured, it is very almost academic. Although there is a measure of satisfaction. And you see a shrine to the Dark Mother, this time an honest one. It is modest. But it does not need to be grandiose to be beautiful.
That's the first order of business. Madeline will just go over, she will get down on her knees, just bend her head and just, she won't pray necessarily, but, well, she will just sit there for a moment and just contemplate. I suppose, well, it is praying, I suppose. But she's not folding her arms. She's not.
It's like a brief meditation.
Exactly. That's much better. Because she's not folding her arms or like folding her hands to visibly pray. She's not saying any rhymes or so. She's just sitting there and just collecting herself. After like a couple of moments, she will just get up and smile to Ed and just say, "Thank you so very much for bringing me here. It has been far too long since I've been in such great company."
I'd be remiss to not show a sister her haven. This is a safe refuge for us from the harshness of the world, yet harsh this place also is. But on our terms.
Quite so. It is beautiful. Beautiful indeed. Now, is there anyone you would like me to meet? Anyone you would introduce me to?
Yes, the mother of this place.
Truly.
She is. She's perhaps preoccupied in her next creative practice, but perhaps we might be fortunate and might be able to but take up a moment of her time.
Please lead the way.
She will lead you. You see a woman stroking and playing with the hair of a well, she doesn't actually appear unconscious. She appears to be actually in quite a peaceful slumber. A girl with another mark of Lilith recently burned onto her arm. It should be noted, it's mostly women here. There are men. It's like kind of like 70% women, 30% men.
Hmm.
There is a pretty significant skew in the numbers as a background piece of background information. But you walk up to the altar, and off to the side there is this woman in a rather nice dress and even a flower crown, just knelt down. You can see you do not see the mark of Lamia upon her. However, she appears to be tending to this unconscious girl who appears to be in her late teens. She looks up from her charge and stares at you. Should be noted, in addition to her flower crown and white dress, there is two armbands on her upper arm of these sorts of black flowers, sort of alien flora, sorry, and a necklace that appears to be a jeweled necklace that appears to be a mockery, or a metal necklace that appears to be a mockery of the Christian cross. It is very flamboyant, but you can as someone who as a Bahari, you notice the obvious signs there. It is subliminal messaging. But only someone like you could really tell.
Hmm. It is a good disguise to make people believe that you are a Christian.
Hmm. She looks off at you, smiles. Her fangs are out, but they were out before you approached her.
Good evening. I do not believe that we have been introduced.
We have not, but I know you. Madeleine.
Indeed.
Sister Madeleine.
Indeed. But in all fairness, the mark of sister is something I keep for myself to remind myself of certain things in the past, where I came from, and the lies that once ruled my life, but no longer rule my life.
I welcome you to my garden.
I am honored to be here. And thank you very much for allowing me to this place.
All brothers and sisters are welcome here. All that is requested of them is that they respect the sacred places that Lilith might show herself.
I always will.
Smells. Well, we have much here for you, many opportunities to create and to learn and to experience. What brought you here?
I am so very pleased to hear that. I hope that I will not disappoint you.
Should you simply follow the ways, I doubt you'd be at risk of disappointing me.
Which is good to hear.
'Tis not me you should fear disappointing, anyway. She continues playing with this, like, girl, by the way. She appears to be wrapped in some sort of silken white cloth, with her largely bare feet and legs and arms.
Is this a new charge or?
She'll soon be my newest act of creation.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I find it particularly important amongst our kind to explore the full aspects of intuition and darkness.
Boundaries are made to be pushed, broken, and knowledge is there to claim and share.
Precisely. While this is a place of experience, we do have more distant forms of knowledge for you to claim. We keep them close. They would not be safe if they left this place. But you are free to claim from them as you will.
Claim from them and meaning drink or?
She points to an altar. The altar. There are 3 slots around its rim, around the bottom. You know, the stand that keeps the small statue to Lilith actually stable. The foundation. There are 3 books.
But they must remain here. I would be honored to read them if it is possible.
All are free to read and share this knowledge as they see fit, so long as the source does not leave this place. That is the only The only qualifier.
They will remain here, and I will not betray the trust.
Thank you, sister. Perhaps after you're done reading, we can discuss the varying natures of our faiths.
Quite so. I would very much like that. I assume you are busy with this young one, but if you desire to discuss this now, I would be more than happy.
Please take your time. It will be a while before she awakes. Roll perception empathy.
Depending on diff, it's 1 or 3.
Oh, I'll say 3. She's not lying to you, but truth does come into play here. She says
Right.
she is, if that is the aspect of this that she is proud of. Like there's... It's kind of hard to say. It doesn't come across as malicious or even elitist.
But she prefers a she to a he. That's
Not necessarily even preferential.
so she's just the fact that it's a woman is what is in.
The fact that it's a woman is something she's proud of.
All right.
I'll be holding a small ceremony for this one's initiation at the end of this evening. If you would join us in that joyous event, we would be most appreciative.
Quite so. I would be honored.
There will be celebrations.
I wonder, has this young one been educated before? Or are they to be introduced both to the dark ways of our mother and her own life at the same time? I am merely curious.
They have known their true calling for quite some time. It was merely a matter of showing them the... Uh-oh. You there?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. But yeah, she said it was like, this one has known her true calling for quite some time. It's merely a matter of showing her a way forward. Give her a chance to be who she truly was, but...
Very well.
that God had deigned to deny her.
Well, denied her no longer. But Madeline will take up one of the volumes, and she will just, of course, bid her farewell. And
Yeah, she begins to she'll wave you off. And however, Anne appears to be talking with some of the individuals who were inflicting pain upon each other earlier. They appear to be experimenting with the applications of fire upon the body. They have somehow managed to towards the ends of the Cat of Nine Tails, there's like some attachment to the Cat of Nine Tails, and they've poured small amounts of alcohol on it so that it's flammable. And they are currently whipping Anne with it. She appears to be enduring it. Every now and then you hear a yelp, and there are looks of surprise and disapproval. And when she endures, there's much more. There's much praise for her. There seems to be pressure on her to endure. She appears to be very much a student to some of these people. She appears to be a new figure from what you can see.
Madeline will...
The mother of this place appears to caress this young one as she wakes, and whispers into her ear, and appears to deal with her quite tenderly. And as for you, you have 3 books to choose from. You have a Book of the Serpent, the Owl, and the Dragon.
The Owl will be read first.
The Owl. The book that you read takes place after Lilith's departure from the Garden of Eden, and after her initial ascension to godhood. It tells of her it tells and reflects on her personal quest for enlightenment and the foundation of a place called Ilana, to you known as the first Garden of Hope, and then Dahainu, the second Garden of Renewal. The second serves as Lilith's prolonged home, and also the home of her second consort, Lucifer, and the children that they bear together. The tale, however, does not end well, as Cain is known to discover this place, or is implied to have been led to it by a traitor, and is known to have slain, along with the other 11 clans, all of their children. The fact that Lilith to curse them and Cain for their crimes. For the atrocities that they committed. Interestingly, this does tell of how the Nosferatu and Toreador were spared of this curse of Lilith's vengeance, of repayment of agony, as they did not partake in the massacre and even veiled the dead. And as such, they were spared much of her anger. There is imagery in the book, both abstract and romantic.
Yeah, like Madeline is soaking this in. This is like someone.
This is literally your Bible. This is literally like 1/3 of your Bible.
Probably the first time that she's actually read this in full.
It is an absolute fountain of knowledge.
Yeah, and like Madeline it's like someone who has heard about Game of Thrones but never read it, and then actually gets to read it, or religious, never hadn't seen the Quran or something, and then just sees it for the first time. So yeah.
Before this, you'd been interpreting the concept of Lilith, but this gives it a literary form, a story for you to relate to. And also before this, you've been largely interpreting interpreting the base ideology of Lilith. You've been interpreting closer to the notions of suffering and intuition and darkness and power, the aspects of Lilith, the representations of Lilith, rather than Lilith as a person, as an entity, as a god. This articulates her in a way that you have not seen before, in a way you have not witnessed before. It is a lot more, it is different from simply following the ideology of a faith. There is a literalism.
She is burning this into her memory. She's taking this all in and just... She's just enjoying this so much. This is the best book she has ever written, and at least she thinks so.
As you read this book, there is there is more to it than just Lilith. It goes into the nature of her, well, former relationship with God, and how that has changed, and how that has changed her. It goes into how that formed her relationship with Lucifer, and how eventually even Lucifer left her. It's a twist on the Christian faith we've not seen. There are words here that you don't recognize from the Bible, but the book gives context and meaning to them, so you'd understand them. But there are truths here that are obviously not within the Christian faith. Yet you can see how the Christian faith has actually, perhaps worryingly or perhaps in a celebratory fashion, discovered some of these truths. There are parallels here.
It's probably not something just gonna figure out just like that, but she might, under more consideration, think that it is, well, she will at least think it is probably something to do with the fact that the Catholic Church maybe do not want women to have a significant role. Or, well, not Catholic Church, but the founders of Christianity probably didn't have they wanted women to have a subservient role. And Lilith, in every aspect of her being, would not fit too well with that.
Oh, yes.
That's probably not something she's going to just figure out just immediately. But
well, yes, while there are parallels to this in these tales, femininity is put front and center, unlike in the Bible where it is dismissed, and that is perhaps one of the greatest themes and notions that is missed by such a holy book, in contrast to this one. And you can see why it's called the Book of the Owl, as the animal, the owl, appears to be a conscious and knowing entity that is an ally of Lilith. even warning certain entities, including warning Lilith of the presence of certain evil entities, largely being her eyes and ears, sharing its wisdom with her, giving her, showing her the path that she is walking down on but not realizing, and gives warning to her of the approach of Jehovah and Adam.
As in punishment from God, or
Um, no. In this book, Lilith very much takes the place of Eve in regards to uh, the Genesis tale. It should be noted this is not the Genesis tale, but there is a point where the serpent does approach Lilith.
Madeline will make mental notes of this. This is all quite overwhelming, I think, for her. But
Lilith did partake of the fruit of knowledge and was the one that tempted Eve to do so, and then shared it with Adam.
Okay, interesting.
Lilith was known to not just partake of one fruit, but of 7.
Are they specified?
Oh yeah, specifies she partaked of 7 of its fruits.
Okay.
And there is so much more, but describing all of it would take up the entirety of this scene. So I'll leave you with that information for now, and you will discover more down the line. For you've only seen a third of the story, and it is the center section. While you read this book, there is still context to it that you're clearly missing. The owl goes much more greater into Lilith's own pursuits than that of God and her origin. It also shows of how Lilith taught Cain and blessed him with the power of the blood that you now use. How it awakened him. That is that story. Fragmented pieces of knowledge that you need to read the whole series of books to truly understand.
She will savor it when the time comes for that.
Mm-hmm. It is a breathtaking experience. Morinth merely watches you from a distance. It should also be noted that this mother did not give you her name. But once you're done reading, Anne still seems very much involved in her own pursuits, this time having switched places with what appears to be a male figure. Very pale, like Anne herself, probably a Cappadocian, or maybe just an initiate of the road. But she seems to be learning rather than teaching or judging, like one of the other figures, who is the main source of approval and disapproval in that little crowd. The young man, who appears to be only just hit perhaps like late teens, 20, again is whipped with burning whips. He appears to express much more pain than Anne, and is met with less approval. But his contributions seem to be appreciated, and they compare their proverbial notes. The mother seems to be staring at you with intent.
Madeline is probably gonna, like, is she judging me, or is it like just observing me?
She's analyzing you.
If she's done with the book, I'll leave it up to you. But if she's up to, like, done with it, she will. She will be go over if it is. If it isn't, it's, I don't know if it's a group activity, but the guy who is expressing a lot of pain. Madeline is going to go over and try to help him by hopefully getting him to take the pain rather than just shun it by screaming and just be, well, unworthy of the gifts.
You can tell he hears you, but he seems to be choking on his agony, in a sense.
Madeline will be quite intent, she'll just say.
Do you physically grab him or anything?
No.
Grab his face, or?
No, but she will stare, like, she will do anything other than getting, like, grabbing him. She will go to him and just, and say very harshly to him, like, embrace it, but savor it. Savor it! She will actually scream at him and try to be fairly intent in her words.
Roll me charisma leadership. See if you can bolster his resolve.
Okay, see, that is not something I roll every day. Let's see. That is not the best of tools. Yeah.
Oh.
I was about to say that I roll want to spend a leadership, but leadership. Roll a willpower, but I didn't. Actually, I need to roll one more. No, I think I botched. So, unless I could spend that willpower.
It has the effect you intend, but it has a horrible resemblance to what you remember back with Clotilde. Pain is savored, but that becomes the focus, and it is indulged rather than learned from. You can tell this because his face looked as twisted as yours. And you almost wish you could want that.
as Madeline was, well, she's not going to say anything to it because she's probably not going to realize that right now, but only afterwards.
Hmm.
Um,
So
she was
Anne and the older figure appear to analyze his reaction, appear to study it. But by the end of it, he's asking for more. Which causes a bit of concern in the twisted fashion in which he's saying it. They try to ask him for his experience, but he doesn't seem to care.
if that is the case, then Madeline will speak with him afterwards. Because then she will begin to see that that was probably a mistake. If he is acting that way, and she will try to remedy it. I don't know if you want me to roll something again.
Oh, he gives you a smile. Oh no, you botched. You didn't got to roll again. What are you talking about? The mother seems to take attention to this. You know, she sniffs the air in almost animalistic fashion. Hmm. Why savor?
She asks me.
Hmm. Do you taste pain? Do you enjoy the taste of pain?
No, but you must always remember that, however painful it is, every pain is a lesson. Every hardship, every lash of the whip, every uncomfortable act done towards you will be a return of a lesson learned or your mind becoming stronger. If you take every lesson given in this way, you will become only stronger, and your enemies will have so much less against you.
It does beg the question, however, if you do not enjoy the pain, why ask another to savor it?
Hmm. When you
She
say it
kind
like
of
that,
looks. She kind of looks at you.
being the person Madeline is, she will just say, saying it that way perhaps was not the wisest thing given the situation, and that he is perhaps very new to our ways. I should have expressed it in a different way. Learn from it, but well, I have to apologize if I have encroached on someone's in a way I should not have. I am truly sorry.
Hmm. The only thing that perhaps might run truly unfettered by control among us is creation. Pain is, I find, better used in as a precise surgical tool. It is something better tempered than something indulged through raw passion. But that is merely my interpretation.
We all serve the mother in our own ways. As long as we are true to her, all is well.
Indeed, I hear hi Lily too. my sister. You don't really understand what she said other than that Lilith who was in there.
Hmm.
What is your perception on the notion of suffering?
It is, I suppose you could say it is a double-edged sword, or it can be a great gift to learn people of the of mind who have very little. If they choose to learn from pain, they can become powerful, and the smallest person can become so very, very powerful. But on the other hand, it can be shunned. People can fear it. And if they fear it and do whatever they can to escape from it, drink their sorrows away or indulge merely in the pleasures of the flesh, merely to escape the pain, well, that is a great shame in my opinion.
Yes, I find myself following the emotional lessons over the physical ones. I'm not sure why, it just resonates with me more. Perhaps it is merely what the mother wanted for me. I find myself pursuing the stories of every little man and woman on the street, to learn of each tale of their suffering and to endeavour to learn as much as possible from them. And to perhaps, if given the opportunity, open their eyes just a little bit wider.
If we can be so lucky.
There is opportunity here, and we have a garden, a rare thing. Many of our kind are so tragic to not even have such a sacred place to call their own. No centre of community, just slabs of stone and wooden panels. Walls that are cages by any other name. I find they offer little but willful ignorance.
Honestly, quite a few people offer that. Willful ignorance is in no short supply, almost wherever you go.
However, I do find the debaucheries of the upper echelons of the world to be an opportunity to grant insight. Many in such a world don't realize that they are already so close to the truth. They've just become too enamored with the means and not the ends.
The upper echelons are sometimes not the easiest place to navigate, but insightful, sure, it can be insightful.
I find it is all often the richest and the poorest alike that are the most attuned to our teachings, the most receptive. The ones in the middle often have some strange sort of contentment. It is almost as if they've been ground down.
I
Be
suppose
careful
there is
not to
truth in
join
that.
them. Sorry?
I suppose there is truth in that.
Surely it is perhaps not the rich that are the enemy, but those of the false face. The ones outside, or so pretentiously presume themselves to be outside such classism.
Living out these sightly lives of such establishments to escape mundanity of this, well, content. Is a noble thing to do.
Hmm. I find only we exist outside of such brutal cages of sophistication. The tempest of Lilith is a freeing one.
Quite so.
I suppose that is why wild places are the most favoured. They're endemic of that potential.
Indeed. As you must know, I have spent quite some time in this city, but I suppose I suppose you could say that I felt the call of the wild since I did leave this city and my post. The position I had in this city to, well, gain distance, understanding, knowledge. I suppose you are right. I suppose I craved it.
All of Lilith are already uncaged. I suppose it is only natural that we would be driven outside the cages of the walls and into the liberation of the wilds. But even these places need a semblance of structure. Perhaps this is why a garden was adopted.
Perhaps.
Perhaps it was simply more beautiful than anything God could have made.
Well, I will endeavor to find out many of such questions in my search of teachings of our dear mother. Madeline looks around, looks at the guy who's probably done by now.
Yep.
Um,
He's kind of getting talked down to. not in a derogatory sense, but as in he's literally being talked to because he's on the ground and the person talking to him is standing up. He's a little bit broken right now, to say the least. He's taken perhaps the most punishment due to his constant requests, but eventually they had to stop. He's slipped away into a state of half consciousness. His master appears to be tending to him and lecturing him and reassuring him. Anne is seen off and bows to this figure before returning to you. Her clothes are even more tattered than before. You see her back is covered in burnt lash marks.
Mm-hmm.
Her neck has a nasty crack on it as well. Quite literally a crack, as if it's a cracked earth.
Well done, my sister. Quite issue. Hopefully one day I will be able to be as resilient as your clan is. I do not possess the abilities to be able to withstand fire so easily as you.
I would be honored to teach you, all the more to push our limitations further, to break them, so that we might learn more.
I would be honored to be educated. Is there anyone stepping up to the whipping thing?
No, they've stopped.
No.
But Anne will simply say in response, "And Pain will be your tutor as always."
I would not have it any other way.
The mother rises with the small girl in a bridal carry posture. I believe the moment is now. She gathers the attention of everyone else there. The individuals on the lake begin to arise from it and take a seat, as it were, before the altar, which is basically just a statue of Lilith on a pedestal.
Madeline takes a seat. Waits with bated breath.
My brothers and sisters, tonight is a joyous night, and it's a shame it has to end. But there is still news that we may yet celebrate for. For another sister has been discovered amongst the midst of Odessa. I'd like to welcome you all to her. And she gestures towards you. This is Sister Madeleine. She has struggled hard against the cages that we all often must face, and the jailers that often want to put us back in. She continues to struggle to this very night and continues to struggle on our behalf. I trust they all give her the respect and love that a sister is due. Some of the figures look at you. Some of this kind of seem more casual. It's almost like a sort of casual churchgoer sort of thing, where some of them pay more attention than others. And some of them just kind of nod at you in a casual, friendly fashion, and others are a bit more interactive with you and kind of like, oh,
It's
hi,
quite
hi.
clear that not everyone here is Canite, right?
Not everyone here is canine, no. Some are
I,
human.
yeah.
Some are obviously ghouls. Like that guy who's being whipped is obviously a ghoul.
Hmm.
By the way, he interacted with the fire was borderline. He clearly was on the verge of frenzy, but he did not seem to take the same level of punishment that a canine would.
Hmm. For more or less obvious reasons.
Yeah. So he clearly was a human, but also probably a ghoul.
Hmm.
There are several ghouls here, several humans. Some of them wear strange pendants. In fact, I'm going to look one up for you. Some of them are quite, how to say, heavy into the standard kind of witchcraft tools.
Hmm.
There are beads that line people's hair and certain bracelets and talismans and charms and all these things. All from varying cultures, yet all bearing the same mark of Lilith.
Hmm.
The humans seem to also bear a glyph upon them. It is one moment. It is a bunch of triangles that are a few spaces away from each other, but they form a circle. Like they're little triangles with gaps between each other, but they're shaped in the form of a circle. So little triangles that form a circle.
Hmm.
You would, oh no, sorry, they're more like petal shapes. So it resembles more of a flower. So petals that form a circle. You understand this. This is actually a Bahari glyph for the term allies.
Hmm.
One of them bears
Okay.
a pendant, a crescent moon. It's a and a blood drop beneath it. You understand this is the term for magic.
And who is wearing that? Is that? Can I see whether or not that's a human or?
I think people are wearing it. Um, One is the woman that the mother is tending to, who is currently carrying in a bridal fashion, who is also awake, but appears to be resting peacefully in the chest of the mother. The other one is a woman who has walked out of the lake with one of her many compatriots.
Okay. Okay.
Others are
Um.
more simplistic in nature and appear to be more for symbolism, but you're not sure. Most some of these pendants have real power, and in their cultures are believed to have real power. There is another symbol you see, one tattooed to both a man and a woman who walked out of the lake, which I shall just show to you because I actually have the image for this one.
visual aids.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that is completely useless. Thanks, Minicam. You suck.
Well, I can actually see it, so
Can you actually see it? I'm just going to double check.
it's it's a well, it's not a lightning bolt, but it's kind of an S room, and then it has a
It's like
yeah
an upside down horseshoe with a lightning bolt
and
and
then
two
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 things.
mini bolts.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I can see it. It's
You see that? You're not sure what that is. You've never seen that before. But they seem to bear it openly.
if possible, Madeline is probably gonna ask someone um, what that resembles or what that is. If at
The
all possible.
responses you get are you're better off asking them. It is you ask someone and they say you ask one of the person who has taken a seat right next to you. It is a symbol of their lineage, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Madeline will just nod for the moment, and we'll just partake in the ceremony.
The mother continues. But tonight is not just a night of discovering a pre-existing sister, but the initiation of another. Today, this young child of mine will become our sister. And shall join us as the liberated among Lilith's brood. In this act of creation, we shall witness the power of Lilith made manifest. And we will see her freedom come to light. You hear of a girl being bridal carried by the mother, just silently, just softly whisper, "Ahi hai lilitu."
She whispered, "What, sir?"
Ahi hai lilitu. It is the I say earlier.
I don't. Madeline doesn't understand that, right?
No. You know it's you don't understand the words per se, you understand the context. It's effectively like it's basically saying, yeah, it's effectively the equivalent of saying "Hail Lilith."
Ah, okay. Okay. All
It's
right.
it's a positive thing.
All right. Fair enough.
And before the altar, the girl is set down on the pedestal. She bears her throat, and you'll see the mother sink her fangs into her and drain her of her blood before just dripping the tiniest, thinnest amount of vitae into her mouth. Before the girl sparks back to life in a violent frenzy. tearing away at the earth underneath her. Almost as if and it almost looks as if she's gasping for air. The mother merely holds her down by her hair. You see, as this new Cainite blushes into life, the mother only holds her down by her hair, but also seems to step on her foot, causing her ankle to twist and her leg to break. You see a shoulder pop out, and you swear you could hear a rib crack. As her frenzy spirals into a violent spasm, into a seizure, she is unable to move. She does not seem to gain control of herself. But the people remain there, and they remain for as long as it takes. And eventually she gains control of herself. On the edge of frenzy, you can see her. She is in agony and she is starving for blood. But then she is slowly lifted up. And the mother begins to kiss her, and you can see Vitae begin to trickle out of her mouth as Vitae begins to enter her system. And eventually, the young girl is wrapped up again in white cloth and seems to fall back into a form of pseudo-slumber. But her wounds do not heal or knit. They remain.
Ellen will just take all of this in.
The crowd begins to fawn over her somewhat, in like a somewhat celebratory fashion, as if they found a new member of their family. And they chat with her and talk to her and ask her if she's okay and bless her for her newfound freedom. And she seems to take it all in. She seems quite joyous. You can tell that she definitely reveres the mother in an almost godlike fashion. Quite literally a motherly fashion, but taken to its logical extreme.
Ellen will congratulate her as well, and her sire will also be congratulated by Madeline. And she will just join in the celebration of this, the two.
It is quite celebratory. For the mortals, there is actually a small feast for the Cainites. There is Vitae, and there seems to be mutual feeding from some of the humans, the Cainites. They feed from each other, and in turn, the humans are fed Cainite blood.
And this all looks on people's own volition.
Yeah, largely.
Yeah. So it's
pretty much entirely. Yeah, everyone seems to be indulging in this. Of course, there are innumerable acts of creation going on, both in the sensual and physical sense, and not so otherwise. There is the rousing of the flora, which seems to take on a more vivid life on its own upon these celebrations. It is manipulated by forces unseen you're not aware of. But you can roll in perception awareness if you wish.
It is something I don't always use. Sure. There we go. So that is there we go.
Oh. Oh.
Holy crap. Okay, yeah, I see.
What's your specialty, sorry?
I don't have any. Not in awareness.
No.
And I don't have something in perception.
Yeah, okay.
But I do have prospects, but I don't know.
That's a good point, actually.
But then again, is it active? And there's all that. But
it's not active right now, but 1 moment. Two successes. Flashes of power. This is flashes of power. Visible living energy seems to pour out from two of the individuals in this garden.
The two ones with the mark?
One of them, the woman. The other, the one with the pendant that represents some magic within the Lilithan tongue. The flora begins to take on a life of its own, and you can see the visible impact they have upon it. It's almost as if you witness the energies reaching out to it. This flood of life, creativity, possibility, the wild power. Its sensations fill the air. You can feel it. You almost feel your skin begin to become brighter. You could swear you could feel your heart beat for a brief moment. You almost feel compelled to take a breath. And while you may be the only one that truly senses this, everyone else is clearly affected by it. The movements of everyone in the garden become more fluid, the breathing heavier. The sensations of those in love stronger.
I'm actually not quite sure what Madeline would do in this situation. She is clearly enraptured by this. She will just completely give herself to this sensation. But I will say that maybe she rolls a willpower to remain somewhat alert to what might be, to remember to talk to these people afterwards. Is that okay?
Yes, and because you've got so many successes in your awareness roll, you can also detect it is not only these two, but there is a faint but prominent aura of power around the mother.
Okay. But yeah, she manages to stay, she doesn't completely lose herself to it, but it is quite overwhelming.
It is very overwhelming. You actually find many of your mortal convulsions return to you. For the rest of the scene, you can eat and drink food, and you can be attracted to people as if you're a mortal. Although your heart does not beat and you still do not breathe. you can feel more movement within your body, or
See,
almost like
that
a
is
want.
interesting. If Madeline begins to feel the sexual attraction to someone, um, she will act on it. Let's just, yeah, let's just say that to be make it to keep it brief. She will act on that. Um, but also more in a state of shock because this is not something she ever expected to feel ever again. And probably one of the big things she has with her road, like if there is a problem with her and her road, it is the fact that she will never be able to truly love or be attracted as she once was to, well, to a certain boy who caused her to get kicked out of her convent and change her life in one, well, more than one very drastic way. Her first love, but also others after that. She is quite overwhelmed by this, and actually, she will go over to the woman with it, uh, depending. Well,
The lightning bolt mark or the magic pendant. Both of them are women.
the well, I could detect it from both of them. Um, the one with the lightning bolt thingy. Well, no, wait. They were a couple, right?
You don't know. It's free love, man.
Fair enough. Oh, okay, but
It seemed polyamorous, to be fair.
fair enough. But she will go over and kiss the woman, um, and will just thank her, and just thank her as a sister for. And she will say to her, "I do not know what you have done, but I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. Although it may not be, I truly thank you."
Savor her gifts while they last.
And Madeline will embrace this woman.
Presumably by embrace you mean hug and actual physical contact and not actual
Yes.
embrace.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. In this context, in this game, yes, that is a very good point. No, she is not just gonna. No, no,
She's
no,
not
no,
turning her into a vampire.
no, 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 no,
I'm disappointed.
no. But she is going to hug and kiss her and thank her. Um, she might actually ask one time how, like, what did you do? How did you make me feel this utter bliss, this life that I have not felt for so long?
Lilith has many children, all of which align towards different manners of potential.
I have truly been blessed to see these potentials. And other things will go on. And yeah, I think for the sake of our PG rating or whatever you want to call it, that time will pass.
Playing an 18 plus game, but yeah, sure.
Whatever. I really don't feel like going into detail with this shit. So yeah.
Play Footsie Doodle. I made that up. It's not a real thing.
Okay, fair enough. I wouldn't know. I think it's some millennial. I just thought it was some millennial thing, but oh well. Anyways,
You're only in the second millennium, kid. And then the third.
no. Anyways, Madeline will partake in this celebration, and she is quite impacted by this. She has, as far as she knows, just felt the presence of the goddess, perhaps. I mean, at the moment, she's not really thinking about it. She's just enjoying every last moment of it. But yes, at some point, I do believe that she will. Well, I don't know. Does she come to and become less like that, or?
Eventually, the effect will begin to wear off. The undermining of Cain's curse begins to stop, and it returns to its rigid form. Your hunger and your thirst and your arousal all begin to cease. Your natural compulsions to breathe lessen, and you feel more still again. The skin feels a little bit cooler. But you feel no less strong.
Madeline definitely feels, well, in one particular way, Madeline feels very much stronger now than she has, well, felt in a very, very long time.
The woman you laid with, the one with the symbol, as the night begins to come to a close, will kiss you on the cheek and thank you for your time, for your visit, for being a part of them, for making yourself a part of her, and she will leave alongside several others. As the moon begins to draw over to the other side of the sky, you can see the light begin to dim over this garden. The mother begins to usher people out. Anne, however, is one of the last to leave, and she is waiting for you.
Madeline will just hold for a moment before they begin to leave, because they're not in a hurry, but I'm guessing a little. But she will just take time to just say, to go over and just hug her, and just hold the hug and just say to her, "Dear sister, I am truly grateful for this. It was the most magical time. This night has been the best night of, perhaps the best night of my own life."
She processes that praise. For the first time, she actually looks genuinely modest. All I wanted to do was show of you that which I already possessed. Thank you, sister, but I do not deserve such praise. You arrived here all on your own. I was merely the conduit for which you made it here.
Well, I hope to be yours someday. If I can ever teach you something that you need to be taught, I hope to teach it to you. I hope to help you as much as you have helped me already.
Sister, you have so much to teach me, so much more than I could ever teach you.
Madeline will kiss her in return for those very kind words, and the two of them will, probably hand in hand, return to the city.
Hmm. You notice those that left before you find their own ways back. They separate quite quickly, others simply don't appear. They seem to exit the the garden through different entrances and exits, and even those that do go through the same exit as you, many of which some are just not seen. It's almost as if they vanished into thin air, into mist. Others you do see leave physically, but they separate from you quite quickly, and they blend into the wood unnaturally fast. But they all feel the pain of the thorns as they leave the parting gift, the parting lesson. That felt such refuge.
Well,
Has its own Aesiops to teach, and its own
then again,
prices.
Madeline would gladly pay that price.
Hmm.
And she has in the past and will probably in the future pay much higher prices.
And as the foliage closes behind you, you see the mother and her new child, her new daughter, head down towards the lake. The mother carrying her down once more, wrapped in a tight embrace. And you make your way back to the city. As the moon begins to cross the horizon, the sun soon to follow on the other side. And that is where we can end our scene. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you next time.